Although radios were invented in 1895, they became the most popular device to own in the 1920s.
This is KDKA of the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company in East Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We shall now broadcast the election returns. We are receiving these returns by special arrangement with the Pittsburgh Post.
From 1895 to 1918, the only people who had radios were people who built their own. They built their own transmitters and receivers to talk to each other. But in 1919, Frank Conrad moved a phonograph, which was a popular device used to record and reproduce sound, pretty much the older version of the record player. He moved it to his radio's microphone and played music for his listener. This sparked the popularity of radios nationwide and was the dawn of the golden age of the radio. Radio listeners were excited to do something other than communicate with each other through radios and loved the idea of listening to music on them. Frank Conrad then started playing his records on Wednesday and Saturday nights for all people to hear. In 1920, the first radio station aired from Pennsylvania and was an immediate hit. The popularity of radio grew at a very fast rate, from an increasing number of stations and manufacture. In 1921, 8 more radio stations were created, but in 1922, 550 stations went on air. Also, the selling rate of radios grew from 0 in 1921 to almost 1 million in 1922, and was still at a steady incline for many years later. In the beginning of the golden age of radios, jazz music was the most wanted music by 1920 radio listeners. But a few years after the creation of radios, listeners wanted more than just music. Along with music, there were many other new things that were played in the radio. An example of this new entertainment played in the radio would be a comedy show. Comedy shows are an example of one of the earliest shows on the radio. Jack Benny and Eddie Cantor were 2 popular radio comedians. Along with comedy shows, kids shows were played in the radio as well. Kids had talk shows that aired in the afternoon for kids to hear after school. Popular kids shows included Superman and Little Orphan Annie. The last type of show I'm going to talk about are dramas. Dramas were easy for producers to create since they didn't need any sets or costumes. They just needed the sound effects. In 1923, a new type of radio was created for military use. This new kind of radio was more powerful and more compact. This made it easier for soldiers to use. As radios were evolving, news stations were created as well. Detroit was believed to be the creation of the first radio news station. This station also reported World War I. The radio was an important part in our country's history, since it impacted U.S. citizens' lives so greatly. Music and shows changed Americans' music tastes and dance techniques. They also allowed artists, actors, and singers to express themselves to the whole nation. Radios also spread communication nationwide so everyone could be in touch. Radios influenced new technology, including TV, phones, and new book ideas. Without radios, I think our world's technology wouldn't be advanced as it is today.